Welcome, Sandeep. It's Sandeep Gill is a social worker and transformational life coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, that's great. I'm excited that you're here. So we're talking about a couple organizational topics, and we're going to break these up into different episodes, like we said. But first, I'd like to jump right in with Potlucks. I mean, for me, Potlucks is the default, easiest one.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd like to hear your point of view of why you enjoy potlucks, assuming you enjoy them, and what your process is. But first of all, why do you enjoy potlucks?
You know, I would say for me as well, potlucks are generally my go-to. I think that most people love food, right? That is one thing that I think connects all of us. We enjoy eating, and it allows us to have connection. And the thing with potlucks that I especially love is that we get such a variety of different items. In my friend circle especially, we have a lot of different dietary restrictions. So I have some friends who are vegan, who can't have gluten, et cetera, et cetera. And for myself, I like spicy food. So, but not everybody else does. So we really get to have like a nice elaborate variety.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely the food.
So food is a really, really big thing for me.
Okay.
And I think it's just a nice way for you and your friends, family to just get together.
Okay.
It's like a reason to get together as well. So
Yeah. And you combine friends and family, and some people do and some people don't, right?
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just friends, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's both. But, you know, it's for potlucks, it's really a time to just, connect with friends, have that downtime.
Okay, so what kind of size are we talking about? Because some people have small places, small apartments, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you happen to have a huge place where it doesn't matter how many people you invite or whatever? Or because there's logistics, right?
Right. So what we generally do is take turns within our friend circles to host as well. So some of our friends have smaller places, some don't. But we somehow make it work. I would say on average, there's generally about 12 of us. 10, 12 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And most people host? Most people take turns hosting?
Definitely.
And then how often would this happen? Approximately.
Honestly, this is a weekly thing for us.
Wow. Okay. So you guys get bonus points here.
We are a little bit obsessed with each other, but
That's awesome, though.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So same day of the week?
Really, it just depends. Usually, I would say weeknights actually work well for us. Weekends, you know, generally everybody has other things going on. So weeknights generally we get together after work.
But it's not like a Friday or a Saturday. It could change.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we have like a WhatsApp group. That's what we generally use.
Okay.
We've tried other things like Doodle, like other scheduling apps, and whatever day most of us are free is the day that we pick.
So then do you do a vote?
Yeah. So we definitely vote. Yeah.
And WhatsApp has a date poll or a vote option, I guess. Or is it like just a text back? Or how does the vote work?
It can be either. Sometimes it's just as simple as just sending out a text and just throwing out 2 dates.
Okay.
Or it could be like through some kind of scheduling app, like, hey, here are a few different dates. Please vote and let's try to lock down a date.
Okay.
Time.
I'm going to move this a little bit closer just so.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have to move closer. I'll just move the mic closer just to. Okay. Awesome. Because there's that thing I think that scare off a lot of people, the logistics, right? Because the food thing may not be as much intimidating because it's a variety of food. That's great. Although restrictions, if it's restrictions, people can bring what they can eat. So that's good. And they can put little labels and stuff. But I think just knowing how to find the date, and then maybe if nobody replies, they might feel rejection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but if you already have a close group of people, you're not going to feel really rejected probably because they're just going to say, well, this is the reason why, and I still want to stay in touch and weekly. I mean, that's pretty great.
Yeah. And I know for a lot of people, weekly probably is not realistic. I would say monthly is probably much more probable for people. And that also gives you a lot of time to actually plan and set out those invites as well. So people have time to be like, okay, in 3 weeks from now, I don't have anything scheduled. So, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I can make it on this date and or this day as well if you are using like a scheduling app or something to vote.
Okay. And then how often would people in your 10 to 12 people tribe, I don't know, what would you call it? Friendship group, community?
Community group, yes.
So how often would most of the people come to these events? Would they mostly come all the time?
Mostly, yes.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
That's ideal.
Mostly. But I also think that location factors into this, right? When we have friends who live also in Vancouver or Abbotsford versus most of us live in Surrey. So it's much easier for us to be together. But our friends who are a little bit further away don't get to come as often.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the people go on vacation over. But,
yeah.
But the fact that it's weekly is so awesome. I've never been that ambitious. I like that idea, though.
Yeah.
Right? Because, if somebody misses it, it'll be 2 weeks that you'll see them kind of thing.
And if we go like 2 weeks, you feel it. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm having FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah. Wow. This really, I never anticipated that you were going to say weekly. So this is really a cool surprise because I always think about the nature of community and bonds, right? And frequency is like, it always comes up with these conversations. How often you meet up kind of determines, I don't know, I feel like your support system to feel like, if you need to confide in somebody and then take that community into the inner circle or the one-on-one kind of situation, right? Yeah. And I'm assuming that's what happens. Things break off into, I guess, during the week or other times that there's there's sub-circles, I guess.
And I think it's a reflection of just my upbringing. Parents are from India. So for them, immigrating to Canada and having to find that strong sense of community was really important to them. And that's also what they passed down to me, and similar with most of my friends as well.
Okay, so you got maybe from your friends that it's no big deal to send out something into the world and to try to make something happen. Yeah. Where I feel like the default for a lot of people, if their parents aren't organizers, then they might not even feel like it's something they can do. And
of course, and I think there always is going to be a small element of fear or rejection, right? But I think it's just like having that conversation with yourself, to like do it anyways. And most often people do want something to do.
Yeah.
People like if you're finding that you want connection, most of your friends want the same thing too.
Yeah.
And just to like remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you, because now I'm starting to think of things. Let's say you meet someone really interesting and you want to invite them to your potluck, but you're not sure. And there's a finite amount of space too, I'm assuming, at these places. Do you go through a process in your mind of like, are they good potluck material? Because there's only so many spots, and then, what happens there? Because you can't please everybody, I suppose.
It's true. You know what? That has happened, definitely, within our close circle. So the ones who meet up regularly, those are like my core people, I would say. And we have had times where it's like, hey, I really want to invite this friend. Generally, everybody's okay with it.
Yeah.
But for myself, I do have that conversation with myself. Like, okay, how would they fit in with everybody else? And would they feel comfortable? So before I would ask my friend, I would ask the group first. Like, hey, can I invite so-and-so? And generally, we have enough trust with each other that we know if we are inviting somebody else, that they will be a good fit for the group.
Okay. And they may have not have met this person, so you kind of have to sell them on this person, that there's this invisible person, like, trust me on this, or I'm going to tell you about them, right? Yes. And then it'll be like, oh, actually, yeah. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe, right? Because it maybe also depends on how long you've known them. Because how long can you vouch? How much can you vouch for them?
And also to be mindful that if you are inviting somebody, that you have to take that initiative to be the person that is, bridging that gap for them when they are there, and like spending more time with that person if they are feeling uncomfortable. Because I'm sure you've been in those situations. I definitely have, where I've walked in and I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody here. I feel kind of uncomfortable. Yeah.
That's good. I mean, that's another thing as well, like bringing in someone new, making them feel comfortable. But I guess if you've already gotten sort of like them approved, then people are already anticipating that. So then and because you meet up so frequently, you can say, like, I'm thinking for the next one, this certain person.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always about, deepening and expanding your conversations as well. When you're meeting with the same people all the time, your conversations sometimes kind of become repetitive.
Yeah.
So to have new people come in and just have more, again, just diversifying your conversations.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of
Greater
conversations,
discussions.
yes. Speaking of conversations, do you generally have a few different areas in your, I guess, potluck zones kind of thing? Like, there's the food scattered or food kind of contained in one area, but then people are either all in the kitchen or they're spread out or kind of in one big circle or just all over the place. How does that usually go?
Yeah. So ambiance is obviously very important. So like the actual setup is something that you do have to take into account. Where is the food going to be set up? Is it going to be in the kitchen or a separate table? And how is the living room area? And is there enough seating? Things like that. So what I find for us that, you come in, you pour yourself a glass of wine or something like that. You have the food, you're munching out, and then you can also just go into the seating area. But I find in our circle, we often are around the food, around the food for the first little bit, and then we'll move into like more of like comfortable seating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to get more into ambience because we touched on ambience. I know that a lot of people are intimidated by some YouTube videos where it's like, this is how you do the perfect potluck or the perfect gathering, and it can be very intimidating. So I'm not saying that yours will or won't be intimidating for other people, but what do you do in terms of ambience in terms of, let's say, lighting, for instance? Do you have any sort of...
Yes, I'm all about being cozy.
Okay.
Like I often even just, when I'm hosting, I always say, dress comfortable. Just come as you are, really. Because it's about just like home, that homey feel, right? So for me, I don't like a lot of bright lights. So I like having more candles. I like beautiful scents. I don't take it extreme. Like I don't think about Martha Stewart or anything like that. And but I do like having a nice, relaxing feel. So having some like light music going.
Oh, I'm gonna get into music in a second. Okay, yeah.
So definitely lowering the lights if it's possible.
Yeah.
And then having more candles around.
Okay, and
Those are my go-to.
Okay, and you said scents. I'm totally on board with the candle thing.
Yes.
I mean, for me, I think even multiple light sources is good. Minimal kind of thing. Like one light. If you've ever been to a social gathering where there's one light, it could be a nice light, but it just doesn't cause any, I don't know if it's shadows. There's something going on when there's multiple lights and there's sort of like something there. Anyway, but you touched on scents. Are you talking about incense or scented candles or...
It could be anything, really.
Yeah. But what's your go-to usually?
Like I know some people are more sensitive to scents as well. So I am mindful of that as well. So I don't like to go overboard. Sometimes it could just be as simple as having my diffuser with some lavender going in there. Or just a few different candles, but they don't have to be scented.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Music. Okay. I'm curious to hear your preferences for that.
So music is always going, depending who's hosting. So we have one friend, she always has jazz music playing. So we know that's the different type of feel that we're going to have.
Yeah.
Some like a little bit more upbeat music as well. I'm usually kind of in between. I like my slow, more R&B type of music. Oftentimes with our get-togethers, there is a little bit of a dance party at some point.
Okay.
So I always have a nice, good playlist going with like a bit more of a eclectic music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what do you use for that? Like Spotify, or do you have a specific
I
streaming?
use Spotify.
Same with me.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I always have a speaker, those Bluetooth speakers as well, just to
portable,
pump it up a little bit.
Nice. Like the cordless kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I already find, I don't know about you, but that if there's too many vocals, like sometimes instrumental background is good to not compete with people talking, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's sort of in the background. So there's music playing, but it's not overpowered by conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of, I didn't specify this in the beginning, but really one of the goals of this series of podcast episodes is to make people more comfortable and empower people as opposed to making them feel more intimidated, because we're going through all these areas. But to me, it's all about demystifying this, that anybody can do it.
And anybody can. I think it's just about not taking it too seriously. And I think that when you stop overthinking it, a lot of these things will just come more naturally too. And nobody's coming into your home to be like, hey, and they didn't do this, and they didn't do this. Most people are generally very appreciative to be invited.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, here's another one. Do you do the co-host thing, or I guess you guys are taking turns co-hosting, but if you were feeling shy about it, that's my default again to recommend co-host, because you're doubling, you're doubling the amount of people you can invite, and you're reducing the responsibility in half, I think.
Yes, oftentimes it will be like my sister and I hosting together, which really helps, because even just with food prep and things like that, even though it is a potluck, generally if you're hosting, you end up, providing a little bit more to the table. So to have somebody to help you with that and just be like, hey, how does the room look? Are we good to go? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How about guests? Here again, we got the limitation, 10 to 12 people, or whatever your space limitation is. I'm assuming it's not infinite. Somebody asks, can I bring a guest? And if everyone asked that, you would have 20 to 24 people, according to my math. So does it ever cause problems or issues that you need to sort of like, I don't know if you can bring a guest or not?
I think one thing I would suggest around this is, rather than asking to invite a guest in like the larger group, if you have like a big group going, like a group chat, ask the host themselves individually, separately first.
Yeah.
And they might say no. And that's okay, because they're hosting. So when it's your turn to host, then you can invite whoever you choose.
Yeah. But I mean, I've found that if you let one person bring in a guest, there can be issues with somebody saying, well, you let them bring a guest.
Yeah.
And then there's sort of like, you got to create rules.
Right.
Well, they're married. Some people have rules that, they're married, they're joined at the hip, or their partner, whatever it is. And then these people, well, you hardly know this person, or you just started dating, or something like that. I don't know. Have you found any kind of issues like that?
No, not too much.
Okay.
But again, I think generally in our friendship circle, we're quite mindful of that. But I think having some healthy boundaries around that is also very important. So if you don't have a large space and somebody does ask you, it's okay to say, my space is quite limited. Yeah. So the amount of guests I've invited is strategic according to that.
Okay. So for your stuff, do you have guests? Do you have a policy just like you have guests or don't have guests, or you it's always like depends on the situation, like for you? Or do you just have a preference like we don't really do guests, and then everyone knows and it's easy?
Yeah. Because we do this so often, we sort of have our set group of people. And again, we will sometimes have, people asking, hey, can I invite somebody? And then you just have to just think, okay, like what we were talking about, how will this person fit into the group? And there have been times that we've said no as a collective group. Yeah. That has happened.
Because if they come once, then they might think, then they're going to come every time. And then there's, and there's people that, I don't know if you noticed, there's people that come that don't really want to be there sometimes, like as a date or something like that. They seem like a tag along. They don't seem to be having a good time. They don't seem to want to socialize, but they're there and they're putting their arm around. And it's like, when can are we time to go home? It's like, really? This is like a precious spot you're taking up.
Probably not going to be invited next time, are they?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like sometimes they don't want to be there, or that they were dragged along or whatever. Because, I wanted to bring him because he doesn't get out much or something like that. It's like, I mean, I want to be compassionate.
Right.
But I think those people don't even feel like, they don't seem like they want to be there sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not all the time, but once in a while.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever I may be answering my own question a little bit, when I've asked people, when they ask me if they want to bring a guest, when they want to bring a guest, I ask, how well do you know them and do they really want to come? Because And then they actually sometimes get back to me and say, well, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And then actually, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because
it might be more effort.
Yeah, it changes to me the definition of like, what is this? This is like a really special thing, or this is just a couple people in a room.
Right. And I'm quite observant around this, so I'm always watching. And if I see that somebody's not feeling comfortable or it doesn't look like they're having fun, I will take that time and sit with that individual just to have that one-on-one conversation. It might be simply that it's not that they're having fun. They just might feel not as socially comfortable yet. So to build a little bit more connection one-on-one might help that person open up a bit more.
Yeah. See, that's a much more compassionate way of looking at it. And I think I would do that too. I'm just kind of like, it doesn't happen very often, but I think it sticks in my mind.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Okay, here's one other thing I thought of in terms of like people coming in and out of the group, right? So let's say somebody's no longer working out. Is that now a group conversation? It sounds like it would be, right? Maybe they got fast-tracked in there or who knows what, and their negative energy is dragging everyone down or something like that. Hopefully it doesn't happen very often, but is that basically an awkward converation that needs to happen in a group way? Yeah?
Yes.
And hopefully not very often.
Thankfully, that hasn't happened to me. But yes, I mean, if it's becoming that uncomfortable for people, you would have to have that really awkward conversation. And if the collective group is like, hey, we don't really want this person coming anymore, then you would have to very kindly and compassionately disinvite that individual from further potlucks.
Yeah. And I think it just goes even more towards be as mindful and conscious and intentional as you can when you're going to let them in, because it's a lot harder to get them out or remove them, awkward for everybody.
Yes.
Than being just more cautious, right?
And I think we live in a time where everybody is quite busy. So to get together is quite a luxury on its own. It's because, again, everybody's lives are all over the place. So when you have that precious time together, you want it to be quality time. And, to really have good energy around you.
Yeah. Well, I think we covered a lot of things. Do you have any advice, just general off the top of your head, if people are just feeling shy about hosting potlucks, just to give them a little bit of a boost?
I would say that discomfort will go away. That fear of rejection, whatever that is, think about it like a muscle. The more you use it, the easier it will feel. It won't feel so uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah.
And again, everybody is looking for connection. And when there's good food and good people around you, people want to be there.
Perfect way to end it.
Yes.
Okay, like I said, we're going to break this into different episodes, so I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Okay, and cut. All right.
Done.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, then please like and subscribe, and please help to support this project by donating on our Patreon page. Thanks.